Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Spendid Life Show. My special guest today is Gina Hiatt. She helps coaches and change agents create online, get it done coaching groups. Her passion is to help everyone belong to at least one group that they feel deeply connected to, a group that supports them, recognizes them, and appreciates them, and welcomes them. So, welcome, Gina.
Thank you, Tee Ming. This is fun. It's my first Google Hangout.
Yeah, I know how. So technology
And
just,
YouTube,
it's just wonderful.
maybe. Yeah.
Okay, now tell us a little bit about your professional background.
Well, excuse me, I'm a clinical psychologist. And I had a private practice for over 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
I started out actually in neuropsychology. That's what I did my research in. And of course, I studied clinical psychology. And then in my practice, I specialized in group therapy, and I was very heavily involved in that. I belonged to the American Group Psychotherapy Association. I was a founding member of their registry. And I also developed an interest in cognitive behavioral psychology, which I mixed with psychodynamic, so there was all kinds of things, but I had this kind of ongoing interest in these particular areas. And then, to make a very long story short, I had a very successful practice. Most of my patients came from the CIA because I had a clearance and my office was down the street. So it was very convenient. And they paid for all the therapy, so it was very nice. But I really did burn out on being a therapist and just sitting there hour after hour. And when I focus on people, I'm very intensely focused, and it just kind of drained me. So I found out about coaching, and I liked the idea of being able to be mobile, to be able to work on the phone, and now video. I didn't know at the time. So in 2003, I got coach training, and that's when I started coaching. So that's kind of my background. I probably skipped something, but that's it more or less.
Wow, that's wonderful. You kind of had like a change in, I would say, your model, like from one-on-one to probably one to many, so that you can free up more time, that you don't feel drained. So that's great.
Oh, the
Yeah.
coaching, when I was doing therapy groups, you're limited to what you can charge in therapy. But if you have 8 people, way back then I was charging $75 per person per group, so I was making like $560 an hour and a half, and we're talking in the 1990s. So
Wow.
it was like I started one group so I could take the family to Spain. I called it my Spain group, but yeah, and I love it. It's really fun, and I love what happens in groups. So it's, there's this group magic that develops where the other people become, in a way, just as important as the therapist or coach, in our case, of what we're talking about today. So I really grew to see that group coaching is not the poor cousin of individual coaching. It's more, another modality that sometimes is better than individual.
Yeah. So can you tell me the reason that you're so interested in running groups and in helping others run groups?
Well, it took me a while to figure this out, as in sometime last year. I suddenly realized why. I wrote a little Facebook post about it, because I thought, I'm kind of obsessed with groups and belonging, and my first business, I don't want to confuse people, because my first business is in academia, and I coached academics. That's not what I do now. I'd still have that business going, but I'm here to tell you about my second business. But where was I? We're talking about why groups.
Yeah, and why
Um,
are you, so
yeah,
I guess
uh,
passionate
that was,
about helping others run groups?
yeah. It was about the fact that I named it the Academic Writing Club. That's why I brought up the academics, because I love the idea of joining a club. I love the idea of belonging. Um, I feel like it's this basic human need, um, and especially now I went back and I thought, why? But growing up, I mean, I had a perfectly fine life, but my parents got divorced. They were atheists. Everyone around me was either, this is in New Jersey, so they were either like Italian Catholic or Jewish or something, but they, had to go to their Hebrew school or their, church. And not all, my father didn't really like me even going to
Mm.
these things, but I did go a few times, and I was like jealous. People belonged. It's like
Uh-huh.
I wasn't in the club. I was different. And back then, there weren't that many kids who were divorced. I mean, I did have one friend whose mother told her not to play with me when I was in
Wow.
eighth grade. And then within a year, she was like, why can't you be more like Gina? Because I got straight A's and she didn't, but whatever. I mean, um, so I guess everybody feels a little bit like they're not like the other people. They don't belong. We all want to feel like we really belong. And I love the idea of people being able to be in a group where they're completely accepted with all their flaws and where they're cheered on and where they're supported and they know it's a safe place.
Hmm.
It just, I think that's where it came from.
Yeah, I totally resonate with that because I'm all about finding community. It's a very strong value in me, building our communities, finding your tribe, people that you resonate with, that you kind of pull in and form your own support group, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But it's not always easy to form your own. So it's nice if there are people who can kind of create that environment and then let people know, here it is, come
Mhm.
and join us. So
Yeah.
yeah, you
Yeah.
and I resonate on a lot of levels, I think, Tee Ming. You're
Yeah.
half my age, but you're my role model.
Well, I'm flattered that about that. Yeah. Um, okay. So I noticed that your groups are focused on taking daily, get it done, small steps. So what made you go in that direction?
Well, luckily my mother doesn't go online, so I can talk about her because I realized that, especially in the past like 20 or 30 years, she's been a person who, unlike in her teens and 20s, where she was quite a go-getter, I think.
Uh-huh.
She lied about her age when she was 14 to become a fashion illustrator on a well-known newspaper, and she was really a go-getter in New York. But later in her life, and she's 86 now, um, she started being someone who was always like, oh, I should do that, and I really wish I had done that. And I became like her therapist. I was like, well, go ahead and do it. Just take that first step. You can do it. You want to take class? Here's the phone number. Sign up now. And I was so frustrated. It's like I felt like I've lived for decades just frustrated because she really didn't do the things. Um,
Mm.
so I really think that's at the heart of, I'm like at this stage in my life, like I used to do therapy, and I think it's very, very beneficial. Both my kids are psychologists. I believe in that therapy works. Um, are my glasses reflecting too much? I can't.
No, it's good.
No, it's okay.
Yeah. Hmm.
I know therapy works, and digging into the past for some people is, there's some people who, of course, I mean, I've been in therapy. We all need to understand our past, but now I'm in a different time of my life where I'm like, fine, those are all reasons why it's hard for you. But what if you took this little step and you just did that? And then the next step and the next step, and we're here to help you, and we're here to keep you accountable, and you will just get it done. And I think that a large percentage of people are in that category. There's some people like you, very few, who just do it. And then there's some people who will never do it. But then I think there's like, 80% or whatever in the middle who really want to do it, but they let daily life and their fears and resistance and everything to becoming something or to achieving something get in the way. And those are the people who I think can be helped by those, daily steps. So it goes beyond teaching. It's not just teaching. And I think most coaches these days have become, in their group efforts, mostly teachers. And I think that we need more of the coaching part where coaches break it down and don't just tell people to break it down. They help them break it down, and then they help them be accountable for those little tiny steps. And by doing that, and this is what I proved with my first business, that by doing that, you can achieve things that you were unable to do for years and years. So it's a different kind of model, but it's a model that works.
Tell me about like how your first business kind of led to your second business. So tell us about Academic Writing Letter.
Writing Club, yeah.
A club. Sorry.
It's a club. You join the club. I love the club. You belong. I always like to write to people, welcome to the club. So, okay, it started because I was coaching academics, and although I helped them, we're talking about professors or graduate students, mostly PhD students. And their major problem, although I helped them with all kinds of things, was writing, was doing enough writing so that they get published, so that they get tenure or they finish their dissertation. And it's a really common problem, it turns out. For professors, it's terribly difficult. They go straight from their PhD. They don't know how to teach necessarily, or maybe they've just been a TA, teaching assistant. They've helped out. They have to suddenly teach 3 or sometimes 4 classes in a semester. They have to go to meetings. Overwhelmingly difficult. Class preparation is incredibly difficult. So, of course, they should publish. They should write up their dissertation and publish. They should do more research, but they tend to put it on the back burner. And then when it's time, they're so panicky, and they only have, let's say, 3 years before their tenure decision. They're supposed to have 6 published articles and a book written by then. That's very, very, very difficult. So what we do is we try to help them. We say, look, and this is what I did in individual coaching, and then I did telephone group coaching. And the idea was, I know you don't have 3 hours next Friday, and even if you do, you won't write. Time has proven it. We have the evidence. You're not writing. Try something different. How about 30 minutes a day? You can't do that? 15 minutes a day. You can find 15 minutes and get something done. And by doing that, we were able to take people that were, let's say, 8th year graduate students who kind of had given up hope of actually finishing, and they finished. People finished their dissertation, and they got jobs, and now they're professors, and it was very exciting. But what happened was there was a lot of accountability involved. It's like, okay, small step, did you do it? And I found that weekly accountability wasn't really enough. After a week, people would say, I did it for one day, and then I didn't. I don't know why. So I conceived of the idea of software that would enable coaches to be able to check in and see how their people were doing. But more importantly, the people could check in on a daily basis, be in a small group, and so that it would be easy for each person in the group to see what the other person had written and comment on that day's progress. So I created software, and I say create loosely, that enabled that people would come in each day and answer the daily questions, and then it would show that the little check mark shows that they had put in their answers, and then their fellow group members would come in and say, good job, or don't feel bad about this. And I combined a lot of cognitive psychology and the group theory and everything I know to create the questions so that people would respond and open up to each other and develop this bond and safe place. And that's what actually happened. I have people who've been in there for 6 years now.
Wow.
So the groups, not all of them, but some of them develop and get very tight and very close. And some of them are, many of them, most of them probably in the academic one are anonymous to each other. So they're very close, but they don't even necessarily know what school they're at, because there's a lot of shame over the fact that they need help with writing, which is ridiculous, but that's how it is. So that was my first business, and the way I started it was I asked my daughter's boyfriend, can you tell me how to write an ad for this? Because you're in 5th year at Drexel in computer engineering. Maybe you know, I don't know what I'm looking for, but here's what I picture. And he said, I love doing that. So my daughter's in the background going, no. But we both got really excited, and we did it. He built the software, and I helped them pay for their first apartment, and everybody was happy. And it turns out he's the best. Oh, my God. But he handed me off when I did the second business to some other people, but he did a great job, and now he's the father of my grandson. They're married happily ever after. Okay, so after I saw, especially I had about 6-month period where I had spinal surgery and terrible things happen in my life, and I did almost no work on my business. And I realized I had gotten to the point where I had hired coaches. I had a manager for my academic writing club and a business manager and a VA. During those 6 months where I did nothing, I mean, I did more than nothing. I completely forgot that I even had a business. But when I came out of my funk, I got a divorce, a lot happened, it was terrible. When I came out of it, I realized, oh my God, I've been earning money this whole time, and the money has come in the same amount. This is amazing. And that's when it started to percolate in me, oh my God, why wouldn't other coaches want the same thing for their business? It seems to me it's not just writing, although a lot of things do boil down to writing, you know, like building a business or marketing or social media or things like that. You know, the daily writing really makes a difference in your success. But there's other things like diet and fitness, and spirituality, even like religion, that people want to kind of do something on a daily basis but can't make themselves do it. So I decided to create the second business called Finish Agent, and that's where I took the software from the first business and I had it developed so that I could license it to other coaches. And that's, you know, it's based on that I was like so amazed. It's like, who wouldn't want this? Because this is the income when you build it up enough that comes in, you know, whether you're there or not. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like last year I made on this business over $360,000, and most of that was passive income on the first business, which is what gives me time to be on this hangout and to build the second business. So that's the model that I would like to bring to other people, and I'm calling them Get It Done groups, because that's really what it's about, is having a lot of Get It Done groups online, turning it into a membership site that doesn't depend on more content every month. You got to teach, get more content, or people will drop out. People stay because it's based on the process of getting things done. That's my very long answer.
That's okay. Yeah, so now who do you envision could use this this software that you created, or the, you know, your unique Get It Done group techniques?
Well, certainly the large majority of coaches could make use of this. It has been used for by the, I think it's Ontario Unemployment, I'm going to get it wrong, but it's contractors to the Unemployment Commission for this school system to help people get jobs so that they take daily action on job hunting, which is very easy to get depressed and rejected and not take action and let days slip by. So, I mean, it's been used for that, and they liked it so much that they want to bring it to all of Ontario. It was used first in, well, Toronto area. Somebody else is looking at using it for the military, for people, for veterans who just left the military, transitioning into everyday life. I have a number of fitness coaches who use it for, obviously, fitness is something you really need to attend to daily, whether it's diet or exercise or sleep. I have one person who has well over 50 members, and she teaches writing, and so she has writing coaches, people writing novels, mysteries, things like that. She's been very successful. That's Gina Hiatt. I mentioned religion. I have one person who has a daily prayer group. Sorry, I'm on a Skype group, and I don't know how to turn that sound off without turning you off.
Okay, I don't hear anything.
Oh, good. Okay, good.
Yeah, I don't hear anything.
So she's using it for spirituality. Another woman used it, a medical doctor. I have a number of medical doctors used it for. This woman used it for hormonal, you're in your 40s, how can you live a good life? And so I'm trying to think of other examples, but, it's widely used, but it depends on what, for some people it doesn't make sense. I can't think right now but people were, what you're doing, let's say dating, that might be something where, well, on your next date, do this. Well, there's nothing to check in on a daily basis about when it comes to dating. That would just be like, okay, I'm going to learn about these skills and I'm going to practice it when I next get a date. So that wouldn't fit, but it's something where you want to see progress. And the best way to do it is chunk it down into those little daily steps. That makes sense.
So when coaches use this, what they do is they figure out the steps, the little steps, and then they input it into your system or something like that. Is that how it's customized?
Yes, the system is customized, branded. It looks like their site, the software. And what they do, well, depending on what some people have a very specific thing that they, as part of their signature system, they do every day. So it might be, did you do your 3 Gina wellness tips? I mean, it could be anything like that. So if they have a system, they could incorporate that into the daily questions. Or sometimes there are people who are, let's say I was teaching marketing coaching. I was coaching marketing people to do marketing. And of course, there's many different ways that people can be going at once. You can't have a group where everybody's doing exactly the same thing every day. So you can have a big list that you put, because you can put content on the site and have a special tab for it. And it can list all the marketing activities that you have taught so far or that are in existence, and ask them to pick one and say, which one did you do today and how much time did you spend on it, whatever accountability you want. If you have numbered questions, they actually get graphed automatically. But I also have suggestions. I teach people how to do these questions because it's really important to have some psychology in there, get people to open up about what's in their way. Like I ask in my academic club, I ask, what negative thoughts did you have about yourself? And what positive thoughts can you replace them with? Also, what challenges did you have? And what did you feel good about? So it gets them monitoring themselves on a daily basis because, of course, I don't know if I should say of course, but I think we all know at heart that when we don't do what really matters to us, when we always put it on the back burner, there's probably a reason why. There's a certain amount of resistance, fear, anxiety, low self-esteem, I'm not good enough. If you monitor those feelings on a daily basis and you kind of correct them, then you're much more likely to be able to take that baby step that day. So the questions can be anything, but I do guide people towards including questions like that in addition to whatever they're helping the people with. And I should point out the academic site, I don't really teach them how to write. They know how to write. And if they, let's say, are from a foreign country, we suggest find an editor who's a native English speaker to help you with the language part. You know, we don't teach, here's where semicolons go, or I might write an article occasionally on things like that, like how to have clear scientific writing, but the idea is we are there to help them continue to progress. It's not so much about learning how, even though we have coaching groups and we have classes on things more like psychology, you know, procrastination, that kind of thing. So I try to teach people to, it's like your content is great and it's there, but you don't have to expand it for the next 10 years. You can just get people actually taking action on it, moving forward, having success. That's more important than just spreading the news, because if nobody puts it into effect, you know, why bother?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's great. So I wanted to ask you, based on your background, so maybe you can tell me, why do some people, you know, what are some of the fears, common fears that stop us from taking the next step?
Well, I think if you boiled it all down, it would probably be, quotes, I'm not good enough. You know, I think the large majority of people kind of feel that way. And if you've read Stephen Pressfield, The War of Art, which I highly recommend, The War of Art, not The Art of War, The War of Art.
War of Art.
Oh, it's really, you would like it. You need to read it, Tee Ming, because you're not like that, so you got to read about it, find out what people are like too.
You know, I think I am like that sometimes. I feel that I'm blocked, I'm stuck, and I think mine is fear of failure, and like maybe like an imposter syndrome.
Yeah, which is I'm not good enough. That's really what it boils down to. It's like I can't be a real one of those because I'm not good enough. But yeah, it's the fear of failure. It's like, well, why? If you really knew you were great and your venture failed or your book wasn't good enough, then you would just say, well, they don't get it, I'll go on to something better, or I'll take the feedback and do some more. But we fear failure because we think it'll bring us face to face with our true not good enoughness. You know, like, oh God, now I know for sure I'm not good enough, and now the whole world knows it. What could be worse? So, I mean, I know I feel that. I definitely feel that, and I definitely
how do you
feel.
Deal with it? How do we deal with that? You know?
Well, I actually need other people. You know, I keep wishing that somebody would create a group in Finnish Asian that I could join. Nobody yet has done exactly what I'm working on, but basically my business manager is a big part of it, and my VA kind of thing, where they, okay, you need this, or I get a letter from Tee Ming, you need to get me your bio, you know, so it explains me, because that's unfortunately how I operate. But I also, you know, I try to cultivate a habit. I've been doing this lately of an hour every day. I'm going to work on the thing that matters the most for my business plan, or that, you know, is the direct path to master wherever I am in my business. And I try to give myself at least like 25 to 30 minutes a day where I will definitely work on that. Or now I'm running 2 businesses. I could go crazy with all the letters and complaints and the this and the that, and the, you know, my basement flooded last week and the hot water heater broke. 2 separate reasons. You know, it's like life can just throw you off. So if you don't have that regular habit, but the reason I have it is my business manager made me do it, and she checks on me. So unfortunately, I really think we all need the support of other people. or at least the 80% do. They need other people to say, you can do it, just do this. I think of it as like just-in-time teaching or coaching, because it's not that I don't know it, but I need somebody when I'm a little bit anxious or overwhelmed to remind me, don't forget, just do it this way. Turn on a timer and get started. Oh, duh, like I haven't given talks about that, but I need people to remind me. So
Yeah.
that's really what it boils down to. I think if you don't have the support of other people, and a lot of us are doing our endeavors alone. I mean, like my boyfriend now, that's my happy ending. I got divorced, but we're together. He's an economist. He doesn't know about being an entrepreneur or running a business. So in that sense, I get more support from my online friends and my business manager and people in my business than I get from my home environment. Not that he's not a very supportive person, but he doesn't know or understand what entrepreneurs go through. So it's important to have that support from people in your environment who get you, and a coach is obviously one way to get that kind of support. We all need it.
Yeah, I know, truly. I'm like in so many coaching programs.
I know, because I'm in them with you. 2 of them.
Yeah, because sometimes you just feel, it's kind of doing this alone, and you have all these ideas, and you don't know whether it's gonna work. But if you see other people, with these ideas, and they are making a go of it, it's like, oh well, maybe I can do it.
Yeah, if they can do it, I can do it, I think.
Yeah, and well, yeah, just try it. So, and I wanted to ask you, you were going to offer people who listen to this interview a freebie. So, can you describe, what free gift you're offering so generously?
Oh, thank you. I've got to look up what I titled it. Did I? I don't have that here. Okay, well, it's can you run online get it done coaching groups?
Huh,
More or
so it's
less.
like
That's more or less the title.
like an assessment, right? It's like,
It includes an assessment, but
right.
it also includes the kind of like explaining what these groups are and what it would mean to your life and your business. So yes, and there's an assessment, and it's kind of like the question you were asking me, what kind of people would benefit. Well, it goes beyond that. It's kind of like, is your business at a point, first of all, is your business appropriate for it, like the dating coach, but also, is your business ready and at a point? Because running groups, you can't just be a starting coach and run a business, and there's certain other things you need to have in order to run this kind of business. So it's an assessment, and at the end I give an opportunity for your people, if they would like, to sign up for a complimentary discovery session. I call it Get It Done Discovery Session, to discuss whether I can help them in some way to run online Get It Done groups. So, but the assessment will be helpful for people, whether or not they want to go in this direction. It helps you think about, okay, where am I in regards to groups and running groups.
Yeah,
So,
that's really valuable for coaches who are maybe thinking about, having more of like a passive income stream to build their
exactly.
business so that they're not so feeling so, pull in many directions all at once.
Yeah, and even early on in the process, you can get this, once you get your marketing cycle going and you get some people who are staying, and you're building it earlier on, when it's not passive income yet, it's recurring, and it's a little bit predictable. After a while, you can say to yourself, I can pretty much count on this. It's growing a little bit every month. It's get rich slowly. It's that's what happened to me. I remember having like 25 people, thinking, would I ever in my life imagine getting to 50? And now I have 450 who pay every month, every 4 weeks actually. So there's that recurring and the leverage and the somewhat predictability that makes it exciting even before you hire other coaches and get people to run it for you, which becomes passive. So.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Gina, for sharing
Oh,
your
thank you,
expertise.
Tee Ming. I always love talking to you.
Oh, thank you. All right. So, folks, I'm going to put a link to Gina's free gift in either the description of this interview or on my blog post. So be sure you take advantage of it. It's very valuable because it'll help you figure out, you know, if recurring revenue through doing group programs is something that you can take advantage of at this point in your career or your business. So and in there, you have the opportunity to also contact Gina for discovery session where she can actually hone in her eyes on your business and let you know whether it's gonna be a good fit or not. So take advantage of that. All right. So bye bye everybody and thank you very
It
much.
was fun.
Okay. All right. Okay, I'm gonna get offline now. Bye bye.